Hello. I hope everyone's doing well today. Let me lower that bossa nova down just a little bit. Happy Thursday. My name is Shen Schiffer. This is my stream. And yeah, I took a sick day yesterday. And the day before, the stream ended rudely, abruptly, by a wee little power outage. The power went out and then immediately back on. So my water cooler was still on. So I turned my computer on. And then it went off again. And I was like, great, this is exactly what I need, is my computer to die. But then Andy came out and he was like, the power keeps going out. So I was like, okay. Not that I wanted anyone else to have to suffer, but I was glad that my purple iMac was not dead. So here we are. Hopefully it doesn't happen again. They've been doing work on my building. What else is new? Yeah, and then yesterday, I'm in the throes of a Hashimoto's flare-up that's only been exacerbated by my menstrual cycle. So I feel like absolute garbagino today, but I feel worse when I just let myself rot, and I get to see my endocrinologist tomorrow. So hopefully my medicine will be changed, and then after a couple of weeks I'll be fine. Hopefully before my hair starts to fall out. I'm getting a haircut next week, actually. Someone asked if I had my hair cut earlier today when I was on a call, and I was like, no, I just had it thrown behind because it's hot out. Hot. It's 89 degrees Fahrenheit in Jersey City. Anyway, once I was able to peel my living corpse out of bed, Andy was like, would you like to go get a bagel? And I was like, I would love to go get a bagel. And so we went out, and immediately as upon I stepped one foot out the door, I was like, this is a huge mistake. It's muggy, it's hot. I feel like a hot, wet towel. But I got my bagel. And here I am, my afternoon coffee. My afternoon, it looks like piss, but it is ice cream tea, sugar-free. And I have some stuff to show you that is related to Glitch. But I worked on it yesterday by myself, off stream, because I just needed the ability to groan outwardly. But yeah, hey Marty. Glad you can join again today. Yeah, I'm glad I got my bagel. There's a new bagel place in downtown Jersey City called Cheech's Bagels, which is very good. They have egg everything bagels. I have not been able to find an egg everything bagel within walking distance. I'm a virgin who can't drive. And yeah, it's nice. Coffee, but you know, there's a million places to get coffee around here. There's not a million places to get good proper bagels that are boiled and baked in-house versus brought in from other places. So if you can get an egg everything bagel, I say try it, get it, it's good. They're just the yellow bagels, but with everything on it. This Jersey City subreddit was complaining that they're too salty. And I'm like, you know that you could like wipe some of the salt off. Like, you don't have to eat it as is. Oh, is chat not showing up in the vid? Interesting. Huh. You know what though? there's been, let me see if the display shares got it. No. You know, I think Google Cloud has had issues today, so lots of things have been down. So the internet's been acting in a wonky way. Let's see. If I can get it going. And see what's going on. It could very well be that it's just a Google Cloud issue and the connection between YouTube and Streamlabs is wonky. Because YouTube chat is showing. Let me type into the chat wow and see if that triggers anything. Probably not. Okay, well, maybe at some point. What if I duplicate? Damn, I wish I had my glasses on. Chat box. Yeah, not sure what's going on with why the chat's not working. That's fine. Whatever. I see you. I see you on the YouTube studio. You're just not going to be on the video. And that's okay. I know that everyone likes to be in the fire. It's fun. It's fun to be on fire. Especially a fire that won't hurt you. Yeah. We'll blame Google. We'll blame Google. When I'm looking over here, by the way, my large second monitor is here, and so I have Streamlabs and YouTube Studio and all of my like messaging apps so I don't accidentally show them on the screen here. I'm gonna try one more thing though. So while I tell you what I've been working on, so there are a couple of things that I have actively in the works that you all who are regularly here know. Which, by the way, if you are here and live, hello, say hi in the chat. And if you're watching the video on demand later, hello, say hi to me on social and tell me that you watched it afterwards, or leave a comment, whatever you want. It's your life. And so I've got this stream that I've been doing where almost every day I've been triaging my glitch apps. What I'm doing here right now is seeing if I can create a new chat box to have it like start showing. Or maybe it is that Google is fussy because of the outage today. But yeah, but I've been streaming triaging glitch apps, which we are pretty far into. But we have got into, I think, 2019, and last night I started working on what I wanted my new glitch user profile page to look like. And I'm not great at talking while doing a thing that I am not entirely sure. I'm having a hard time finding the chat box thing in the widgets. There we go. Chat box. Add a new source. Chat box 1. Okay. Chat box here. I'm gonna add it right over my face, and that would be fun. I'm gonna test. And if that chat doesn't work, then it's nothing. But I'm gonna have to keep checking now to see if chat is happening over my face. But yeah. Okay, so I've been doing the streams, triaging my glitch apps, which we're gonna continue to do. Then it's like, okay, I have to like put these apps somewhere. I put some of them on my .com page, but I want them to display them in a cool way. I have to figure out the node situation. I'll probably use Valtown for those apps. I am launching my candle store, which has been delayed because I've been sick, and also this has been taking a mammoth amount of my time, and this has an actual deadline, whereas the candle store, that's my thing. I'm in charge. Then the other thing I've been thinking of a lot is continuing Glitch Community Code Jams, but not like as Glitch, because I don't work for Glitch anymore. But I ran the code jams. When I left, they stopped running the code jams because there was theoretically no one who wanted to do it. And I've been reading a lot of really nice blog posts from yous about how you're gonna miss Glitch, and it turns out I'm not surprised, but like I am surprised. I'm not surprised, but I am surprised of how many people Glitch Community Code Jams brought into the community. And so I was like, well, I can just continue doing code jams like on my own separately. Once I have all my glitch stuff moved over, like I can run a code jam on top of a candle shop. They're two very different things, equally important to me. And really all the community needs is someone who has the experience and leadership to get the thing going and like wrangle it all together. And because that had been my job, or a part of my job, I'm happy to continue doing it. Yeah, this chat thing is pretty cooked, so we'll just say that this fire is not the chat today. It is merely the heat that is around me. But yeah. Also, if you've written blog posts about Glitch, Marty, I have yours. And I see the Ribosome one that you had shared. I do want to collect those because I want to make like a scrapbook on my website of like Glitch community stuff. So it's kind of like memorialized so that it can continue whenever it's figured out how Fastly uses Glitch or how we like move forward, whatever. So yeah. Let me show you what I've been doing while I took my break. So this is my Nova editor. I I changed the theme to a light theme. I don't know if it's like harder to see, but it's nicer on my eyes weirdly. It's solarized light. I've been using solarized dark. And what I worked on was, this is it running locally. This is my website, jenschiffer.com. And I have my glitch page. I've shown this before, where I just had my name and I had a box for glitch apps. Because here on the sidebar, let me uncollapse all these here. I've been importing some of my static sites, like my candle ones. And then on Glitch, you can set redirects to them. So for candlemath.glitch.me, it now redirects to jenschiffer/glitch/candlemath. If you don't know about this, please go to support.glitch.com. If you're a Glitch user and you're like, what the hell is going on? Project hosting is shutting down July 8th. You will be able to download projects through the rest of the year. And you can set up redirects for where you move your projects, and Fastly is committed to handling those redirects through 2026. If you go to the support, chat's back. Cool. Chat is back and it's ugly because I was fussing around with it. Okay, I'll get to the chat in a second. So go to support.glitch.com. There will be pinned to the top threads about redirecting your domains. Pomax made a script, who's an engineer on the Glitch team. Pomax is a legend. Made a bulk downloading script. Poch, another legend, who actually I will be hanging out with Poch later tonight. Friend of the stream, property cousin. Poch made a graphical user interface, like a visual version of that script, so you can bulk download all your projects. And then there's a discussion thread on how people are migrating stuff and all of that. And I've been streaming the past couple of weeks. And in today's stream, the chat has been acting weird. So how do we feel about the blocky? Let me open up the webcam view. That's kind of hideoso. I don't know. I had the Twitch style, and then somebody was like, it took them for a loop. I was gonna reset it because I reset the theme. Whatever. Let me try it again and see if that comes up. There we go. Okay, it just reset it because I changed the template. Anyway. So even though project downloads will be available and the dashboard will be available throughout the rest of the year, user profiles and the project hosting will be down, and I'm going through all my projects before that July 8th deadline. We're less than a month away, because it's a lot easier to look at what these projects are while they're being hosted on Glitch, so I can download them into various folders, which I'll show you. So I can figure out whether they should be migrated into my site, if I need a node server, if I mention them in Live Laugh blog or have embeds of them so I have to replace them, if they're starters or remixes of other people's apps, or if they're just too old and I don't really need to give a shit, but I like to have an archive, if you will. And then I also have been in the process of archiving the code jams, the apps that I've made and remixes of apps other people made, because I do want to make a page that is a way to look at all of those. And that idea sparked what I had worked on yesterday, which was creating my webwing. Webwing was a glitch app where it took a JSON file of links and RSS feeds of links and made like a webring like interface to look through all those projects. And so I implemented that on jenshiver.com/glitch, and you can actually go to it right now. Like I have it live here. So if you click activation console, a box will come up. This is my glitch avatar. I copied over some stuff from my glitch profile. Like I was thanked 469 times. If you click activate webwing, the interface changes to this header up here, and you can go through the glitch apps that I had listed. And if you want to open them in a new page, you can do that. But if you just want to navigate through my projects, and you'll notice there's the name, the URL, and then the description. And then if you are done, you could also fully navigate. It's an iframe. One of the oldest technologies. The iframe is basically the first HTML tag that cavemen created, and Tim Berners-Lee stole the idea and created the World Wide Web. Anyway, you close it, you get back here. So let's talk about how this works. Well, in my HTML file here, this all also works if there's no JavaScript. It just hides the activation. In fact, let me show you what my site looks like if you don't have JavaScript turned on. So the JavaScript makes the boxes draggable, adds the drawing background. But if you don't have JavaScript, for whatever reason, you don't have it running, or if you have an ad blocker that's like especially aggressive for whatever reason, you still want to like try to build as well an experience, especially if you're just like listing information about you. It should just be plain HTML, and then everything is like a progressive enhancement, if you will. So Gen Wide Web just looks like this. I still wanted to have the clickable, readable list of links there. So, and you'll notice that there's no activation console because there is no JavaScript to activate it. And how I do that is I put a Node.js class on things that I don't want to show if there is no JavaScript. So for example, here, actually, let me look on the glitch page. The web activation console draggy div has a class of JS only. And then for my whole website, I grab all those elements. If it says JS only, I remove that class. And the JS only class in my style sheet has it hidden. See? So things that you only want to show if JavaScript is enabled, you give JS only class, it'll by default be hidden, and JavaScript removes that class so they'll be visible. And this only runs, obviously, if you have JavaScript running. So, yeah. So if I wanted to have the list of links visible without JavaScript, I can't depend on a JSON file to pull the stuff in. So that's why I'm not doing like a JSON file of all the links like I had done for Webwing. That was a lot of explanation for not a simple concept, but just to explain my rhyme and reason of why. Because like this HTML might be hard for anyone to jump into immediately read. But this is why it's not a separate JSON file, because I still want all these links available regardless. So for each of these links, I have a class webwing list. I might have multiple lists, multiple boxes, like glitch apps, post glitch apps. And I give them a category using the data category attribute. When the introduction of data attributes was a game changer to both myself and the Galaxy. And then I have lists of links, and for every link has where to go to. I add a data description, and I copied these from the descriptions I set on Glitch. So that's what powers this here. I also, in my JavaScript, look and see if I set a name, but if there is no name, I just use whatever is in the inner HTML of the anchor tag. And if there is no inner HTML for some reason that's weird, it'll just show whatever's in here. So when I activate this, I'll go through webwing.js. I have my buttons that show. So I grab all the lists, the webwing lists. Right now there's only one on the page. And for each one, I get the links and I push to an array, an object. So this is what the structure of the object would be if it was a JSON file separately. But because I want to make this available without JavaScript, I do the JSONification on load. So we have the URL, the category, that description I showed you, I mentioned the name, and the child's whatever is in the inner HTML. So upon activating, which is clicking activate webwing, we hide all of the draggy divs. We show this header, and this is literally changing the style display. And then we show the first page. This is draw an owl. The drawing on canvas doesn't work on the preview within Nova for some reason. So I'll call a set next frame, and I will show this iframe. I'll also have the window scroll to the top because some browsers were like scrolling down and it was like a pain to get to the top. So I just have it scroll to the top. So it shows this header. This header has buttons to navigate left and right, shows the name, and shows the description, and then there's like a close button. So when you hit close, which happens right here, button click, close webwing. Closing it just hides the iframe, hides the header, and then shows all the draggy divs back again. So you're back to where you started. So let's look at set next frame, because that's called when the next button's clicked. Previous when clicked, call set previous frame. Set next frame updates the frame. It chooses current ID. We start at -1. And next frame those IDs pertain to the index of the item of these links that we had added to the array. And of course the first item is 0, and we're saying we haven't hit it yet. So if next frame, the current ID +1 equals the length, set current ID to 0, which means if we've hit the end of that array at some point, we want to go back to the beginning. It is just iterating through the array. I do want to add like a randomizer, and then updates the frame. And for set previous frame, if we're at the first, if we already are at the first item in the array, the first URL, like for example, here, when I hit previous, I want it to cycle. You can deactivate previous if there's none previous, but if you want to really like cycle it, when you try to go behind, you just have to take it to the length of the array -1, the last item in the array. Otherwise, just decrement the ID and then hit update frame. Update frame grabs our iframe. I called it embed here. I should have just called the object iframe, but whatever. And we set the source to the link URL. And then meta is this information here. We set the link here and the name and the description. So das ist alles. that is all. I had a lot of fun playing around with this yesterday. But yeah, so that's what I'm planning to do is like this will be a very long list. I'll have multiple boxes. I haven't even worked in the descriptions of each box, even though I saved them. But yeah, you can just then go through all my stuff. I might like have like a random, like a shuffle button. And this is all like an homage to glitch playlists, essentially. Those are going away July 8th. Because those are part of user profiles. So while this is on genshifter.com, I do want to make a separate like starter so that you can make your own like playlist launcher. So yeah. Alan's W. Smith said while I was talking before, sorry it's a little late, but JSONification sounds like an album name from the 90s. SonicYouth.js record. Also welcome to the chat. Anyway, that's what I was doing last night. Just working on my website. But yeah, and once I have the things I absolutely need live here, I want to then focus on making a jams page that's similar. Because you can imagine, like, if I had a page for jams where there's a box for every jam. And they don't all have to be open. Like here, I can close these. I think my work page, I have one of my boxes closed by default. So imagine a jams page that's like all of the past ones. There was a 12th one, but they never posted. I don't know if anybody even like submitted to it. It was after I had left, but I want to have like a box of like old jams, and then you can do like launch a playlist to go through all of them. That's why I saved the screenshots, because you can, I mean, I can just go to the page. It's still alive right now, but like see the description, and these are all my annotations. Like I would add everything that people had done, and I would like, I wasn't reviewing them, I was just talking about what they were and like why I love them. I hate that I waited to do these screenshots, because now they have the like ugly like we'll be ending hosting soon. I'm going to go in and like delete all of that, but I kind of want to just make like a page homage to that and then continue jams. So good times. But before I move forward on all of that, it is time to get back to enabling JavaScript and looking through my apps. So, I don't think there's anything new with the community stuff. Although, on this thread about the redirect subdomains, a couple of users had asked for redirects to keep the query string and the path. Oh, they do keep the query string, but would it also be possible to keep the path so that all pages on the old website redirect to the equivalent page on the new website? And the team updated it, and apparently it works really well. So that's cool. Shouts out to the team. What else? Oh, Miles had asked if they can update Glitch with a featured app, like one file feature app, because they weren't updating that for a while. So Ali updated it to Miles's Goodbye Glitch app. And Miles, longtime member of the community, has been updating this page with blurbs from people saying goodbye to Glitch, which is really sweet. I'm not going to read them because I can't cry. I'm already like, again, I'm already incredibly inflamed. If I were to cry and my sinuses get any more inflamed, like I don't know if you know what sinuses look like, but you would find out because they would come out of my eyes. And I have plans tonight to hang out with Potch, so I have to like maintain composure. But check that out. Anyways, Miles says, shovels up. Let's go into what... So we're going to... I think we got to... I was going to do December. Oh, wait. I'm trying to remember where I was at when my freaking power went out. Oh, yeah. It was my fake blog, which I think I might have downloaded. Maybe I didn't. Glitch. You see, I have just all these glitch apps open on my desktop. I think it was Node. And way back in Porter was scraping your website with... That was a remix. I think I had these open, and unfortunately, if you open your glitch app, it will change the last edited, whether you edited it or not. That's just how it goes. Okay. So here we go. December 30th. So there were a couple of things we were working on for January 2020. We did like a promotion, or campaign is a proper term. A campaign to help people make their first web page or learn to make their website. And so I had made starters to walk you through making those sites. So that's what this is. We've seen Welcome to My Guest Book, which is the final iteration of my Welcome to My Guest Book workshop, which is where I taught how to take a static page and make it a dynamic, proper, old classic guest book. I gave that workshop at, I believe, 2 in-person events. One Empire.js, and another one was Dinosaur.js. and they were fun to give. Data dashboard, probably a starter. This is a talk I gave. Starter. Okay. So here's welcome to my guest book. So I talk about what a guest book is and blah, blah, blah. We all know. Google Sheets data dashboard is a starter, and it's very old. Okay. This is a talk I gave. It's something I wrote. When was the fundraising gala? Okay, I try to remember where I gave this talk. I think I gave this talk at the Women's Prison Association, which is basically a talk about how the world of mass incarceration depends on software. And how the system uses technology before, inside, and after prison in the form of databases and algorithms. And artificial intelligence, essentially, but like back then, we just said like algorithms. So police keep gang databases. They're often incorrect, out of date. And organizations like ProPublica have like found that like they're missing information, or they have lots of dead people, and they use those databases to be like, oh, we have X number of gang members, but like if people are dead, you really can't count that. They had 2 people in a database listed as 132 years old. So like a database is only as good as how correct its data is. That's one of the, like, if you studied computer science, like database theory, a big core part of that is like the database is only as good as correct the data it is. I'm sure some tech people would disagree, but that's just theory. And so I talk about what algorithms are they good, are they bad, what the issue with algorithms is, talking about machine bias, Compass, which is a software that pretty much every state now uses to determine whether they feel like recidivism, which is when a person who's incarcerated and released, the likeliness that they will come back. So the chance of recidivism, and they use that to determine whether they should give someone parole or not. And this is already like widely used, and it's also widely more punitive to people of color. It's extremely biased because, like with every AI, every database, pretty much everything, if you live, and this is the core of my talk, when you live in a white supremacist, misogynist, capitalist system, the information that you feed into machines, and therefore algorithms and artificial intelligence, are themselves going to be white supremacist, misogynist, and capitalist, or classist, if you will. I know a lot of people see capitalism as good, so I have to keep remembering to say classist. Although some people think classism is good, so you get what I'm saying. And Compass is a big part of it. And the problem is these softwares are very much black boxed. The Supreme Court has even set precedents that these software companies do not have to show their insides or how they come to a point. And so there already has been for a while precedents that it's okay that these systems are black boxed. They don't get to challenge here the technology or see what is actually going on. They're not getting audited, essentially. Inside of prison, a lot of people don't think about what's going on inside of prison, but pretty much every aspect of humanity within prison costs a lot of money. And there are software companies that, of course, in a capitalist society, have latched onto that. So companies are making money creating, selling software by services used by prisons to further oppress its population, like phone calls. They're limited, expensive, they're heavily surveilled. So they want to make more money off of that. Calls are very expensive within prison. Jail personnel say it's for safety, but it's to line their wallets, to make their jobs easier. So one thing that prisons have been doing, and some of these articles go back to 2017, because that's when I started writing about this and learning about this. There are prisons who have and or want to replace in-person visits with video calls, which is inhumane on its own. But those video calls are like extremely expensive, and video calls are something that you and I do free. You and I right now are essentially doing a long video call for free. And so not only are we enslaving people in our prison systems and forcing them to work, every other aspect of their humanity, like letting them make calls, letting them, get nutrition, is not only costing them more money, but there are tech companies that are like gleefully profiting off of that. Secretly surveilling them, which is removing their human rights. And then there's like after prison. So I talked about Compass being used by parole board. Hardly any validity studies being done on that. Former Governor Cuomo now, please, if you are in New York, please vote in the primary and do not rank Cuomo. He had do you remember? I mean, if you're not from New York, I'm not sure how wide that spread is, but when COVID had happened, of course, because of Andrew Cuomo, a lot of people died that did not need to die. And that was both in nursing homes, but also in the prisons. And one of the most egregious things that he had done was he had showed off all this hand sanitizer. He had like one of his like morning like updates to the press, and he had a table full of hand sanitizer, and he's like, look, we're finally getting hand sanitizer because the prisons are making it. But he was not allowing, the prisoners were not allowed to use the hand sanitizer, and they were getting sick and dying. So he's done a lot of like performance around like corrections, and organizations have had to correct on that. I gave a shout out here to New York City Books Through Bars. There's a lot of organizations of people volunteering to provide reading materials to people incarcerated. Alan said, relate side note, if you haven't heard Fiona's Appalachia's track pre-trial, it's right up the same alley. And Marty said, prison tech pretty much exactly followed the slippery slope in this talk. The kickbacks of prisons. Cory Doctorow has done some good recaps of some of the stories. Yeah, and then I mentioned video calls. So JPay, this is Sing Sing. This is a correctional facility here in New York. And their online rates for calls are like insane. And I guess it, yeah, their phone number 99999, like it's just like a shitty work done to make the lives of those incarcerated shittier. And it's bad for everybody that's in there, agnostic of whether they're even innocent or not, because you can't ignore the fact that there are a lot of people who are incarcerated who like really shouldn't be there, especially like New York has a bail program. There are people who are in prison because they cannot afford bail. New Jersey doesn't have bail. They'll just like not let you out if it's a specific kind of crime. But yeah, and then like my call to action was to like ask my fellow engineers to think about what they're working on and blah blah blah, and choose not to work with companies that work with ICE. So that's what this talk was about. And this is from back I don't know what day this was. I forget. I think it might have been might have been the summer of 2019. So it's been an issue for a while. I'll put that in archive. React, ingest, and enzyme. Basically, it's not to, I'm not gonna like apologize about harping on a topic that's very important. The stuff that we're seeing with ICE today is like a predictable step from a path that we had seen back in 2019, even earlier, when companies like GitHub, before Microsoft, you know, owned them even. So essentially GitHub was a startup then. Startups accepting money from Department of Homeland Security. My prior job before Fog Creek was at Boku, and they wanted to become a contractor for Department of Homeland Security, and I said, I will absolutely not be on a project with DHS. A lot of those folks are from Boston, and I'm like, I'm from New York. I know that this stuff all really started being created after 9/11. These are contemporary, oppressive systems, bipartisan. I mean, it started during a Republican presidential time, but still continued in through Obama and Biden's administrations, and it would continue no matter who like is president, center or on the fringes of the right. But I got like a lot of shit, and it was what drove me to start looking for what I wanted to do next, because essentially the message was like, well, if you don't, well, one, it was like, well, they do good things too. They help veterans. Which, if you read the CEO of Gumroad, he worked at Doge for free recently, and he wrote an article about how, like, he wanted to help, like, the veteran forums. It's very weird. Every time people want to try to justify why they work for DHS, but they don't want to own up to their culpability in ICE and those oppressive systems, they're like, oh, well, I want to help the veterans, which is funny because one thing that, like, our government has proven time and time again is that they do not give a shit about our veterans. And to think that you can go in there and like convince them otherwise. I don't think Boku even became a contractor for DHS, because really to win those contracts, you have to be like Lockheed Martin. And so I had posted on Blue Sky Mastodon like a week or so ago. I was just saying like, I wonder how the people, the GitHubbers at that time, when they had an ICE contract and their CEO's like, well, it's only $200,000. People started realizing companies they were working at, not me, were taking contracts from ICE and saying like, oh, it's only like a small amount. Well, here we are today, and we see what's like literally happening out on the streets. On the streets, in our government buildings, in the restaurants that we go to eat at, in our schools. And I want to think like, oh, how do you feel now? Your contract was only $200,000. I'd like to think that like people are like learning some kind of lesson, but for me that's not enough. If there's no peace, I'm fueled by revenge. So that's how I feel. The Gumroad guy ended up being fired, probably for talking about his time. But I'm just like, I have no patience for naivety. I have the capability to work at FANG companies. I have the skills, I have the communication skills, the engineering skills, but not the values. And so I could have had a lot more money than I do now if I had chosen to work at those companies, but I chose not to. And it's not Lockheed trying to recruit me. Palantir has sent me recruiting emails. All those companies have, and I've just been like, no thank you, here's why. Not my values. And whenever I pressure people I know to not work at those companies, it's a lot of like, it's my only option kind of thing. And it's just like, no. Like, I am not, I'm remarkable in a lot of ways, but in a lot of ways I am not remarkable. I'm normal like the rest of my peers. And my having values and choosing not to work at those companies, I cannot accept that as a remarkable characteristic. Just like I cannot accept Glitch openly being like, we will not allow Nazis on our platform. I can never accept that that was a progressive statement. And that is seen as a progressive statement. Years ago, it was seen as a progressive statement. And now today, look what we have. We have a massive Nazi problem. Not Glitch, but like the internet and the world in general. Excuse me. Here's a ghost starter. I don't need to download these. I mean, I have them downloaded because I did the mass exporter, but I'm only going to be downloading things that I actually want to like move onto my site. So here are September BTS facts. This is a funny one. By the way, a couple more members are done with their military service in Korea as of yesterday, and I think the rest of the members will be done later next month. If you wanted some good entertainment news. One day I get to work and someone was like, Anil is pissed off the BTS fandom. And I started to panic because, one, why? What could you have possibly said to piss off BTS fans? And two, this is going to change my day in some way. And it did. I think someone had asked who's BTS to Anil, and he said, oh, it's just another boy group. When I read the tweet, I was like, oh gosh. And we were like, we have to do something to be like, we come in peace. And so we just made an app that loads facts about BTS. We just put 3 facts there, and we tweeted out to the BTS fans are mad saying, hey, we're Glitch, we love BTS. Hey, here's an app that you can remix and add your own facts to. So, that was like one of the funny aspects of my job. It's only happened once. There's only one time, not one time where someone or some fandom got mad at Anil, but only one time where it happened, and I made an app to, Anil and Gareth at the time put it together and sent it to them. So that was a funny thing. And then BTS became BTS fandom would make apps on Glitch that became some of our most viral applications. Not like viral to the media, but viral to within them. The BTS fans were rightfully, I would say, skeptical of Billboard chart numbers, Spotify numbers, and so they would track their own numbers on a Glitch app to get an idea of what pre-orders and stuff were going to be. I am going to put this in early days with Gareth. Actually, no, this is going to go in archive. When Ticketmaster is or was, I'm not sure, a customer of Fastly, and when Taylor Swift's Eras Tour came about, when the tickets went on sale, it was like a huge failure. Ticketmaster went down. Someone on Twitter was digging into the network header, and they had tweeted like, hey, like a Swiftie has tweeted like, hey, maybe like Fastly is their content delivery provider. And someone at Fastly was like, oh, we have to respond to this. And I was like, we absolutely will not respond to this because, one, the outage was not our fault, and you don't throw your customers under the bus, whether it is or not. Two, that Swiftie had like 3 followers, so the reach was like nothing. And I was like, and 3, it's neither our job descriptions to engage with like niche members of large fandoms. Like, we're a content delivery network, a security company, but most importantly, you can't if you are part of a stack of a customer, it's just like uncouth and just unprofessional to speak to when they're having like an outage, unless it's like actually your fault. And if it is your fault, then it's the marketing team's job to work with engineering to put together an incident response. But in that case, like, it was Ticketmaster's incident response to do. So if you ever work in a company and a fandom is using your tool and there's an issue and they're freaking out, like, you have to use discernment on who you respond to and how, and defer to the professionals within your company. Just because you have a Twitter account doesn't mean that you can respond as if you represent that company. It sounds simple, but my gosh, there was just quite a few moments where I was like, oh, there is no like media literacy or professionalism or whatever. And that's not just like at Fastly, it's like at every place I've worked at. Anyway, Wilhelm is the jQuery version of the responsive JS app I made. Yeah, it screams. I showed the... Wait, this is a vanilla... Okay. And that's all the JavaScript that is. We have this on .com in the form of responsive web, I think. Alright, we'll see. Okay, let's bang out the clock starter. So, and then Apology Hero slides. So here's another workshop worked on. Again, all the workshops started with how to get acquainted with the glitch editor and the idea of like coding an app and it going live. And so I did this workshop. I did all my workshops virtually, I believe. But this one I also did in person at a hackathon for a women's computer science club up in Boston. I remember a coworker and I going to Boston, and the food they brought out was Chipotle, and the whole lobby reeked of Chipotle. I'm just like getting my head back there in a sensory way of where I was at when I did this workshop. And I went into the room and I taught them how to make a clock. So we did a placeholder just to do the HTML part. Because normally I would just be like, here's how to claim a glitch. Here's how you do the HTML. Here's how you do the CSS. And would you believe it? I make my web pages in Cyan to this day. CMYK. And then is actually the JavaScript. So yeah, that's fun. I'm going to... What if I created a new folder called Workshops? Especially ones that are agnostic to where they go. And one of the funny things about the starter, or about the clock app is, one, time is a really hard... It's not like really hard in real life to deal with time, but like programmatically deal with time. Moment.js is like a popular library. There's smaller iterations of it. We've seen starters of that. Time is difficult to deal with because of time zones, but then also there's different dimensions of time when you're on the computer. There is the time for like a web page. There's a time that you, the client of the app, what your time is, and then there's a time of the server. And that server can be on a different time, agnostic of its actual physical location. And so that was like a fun problem I built into that workshop, was the server time versus like the client time. Because like, oh, the time is wrong here. It's not that time. It's like, that's the server's time. Now you deal with that. And it's important to show those concepts, even if you can't fully understand why they happen. The fact that you know it happens, you can look out for it further along in your programming journey. This workshop, a lot of my workshops were for people who were completely new to JavaScript. Maybe they know a little bit HTML. This one, I think we started just from the beginning level. But you want to like try to show all the like intricacies and like the haunted parts of the web, as I call it, so that when they encounter stuff like that, they don't think it's their problem, it's the computer. So I always like to just let people know, like, computers are haunted. If things are like broken or whatever, like, do not get discouraged. There might be some weird edge case, other thing, and then I teach them how to like look that up. Apology Hero were my slides for this is probably Internet Explorers. I think that's where I did. Oh, that's my YouTube. Oh yeah, this is Internet Explorer. Oh, this is funny. This is a gif of me grabbing a tote bag with my scene haircut. In 2008, Google had like a workshop for women engineers. They picked like 50 women from all over the country who were in graduate school to come to California. And I went, and it was my first time in California. And I think like my second time ever getting on an airplane, and my first time flying alone anywhere. Because usually when I flew, it was like a class trip, so I would like be chaperoning undergrads. But this is my first time going on my own. And it was like a really fun trip, and it also solidified that I never wanted to work for Google. And I might have told that story before. I'm not going to tell it now, maybe another time. But it's funny that I found that GIF and added here. Oh yeah, Apology Hero. We came across it earlier. It's a game that's inspired by YouTuber apologies. And Guitar Hero. I talked about how it uses facial recognition, and so I do like to go over when I'm like, same with like robot karaoke, whenever there's like machine learning or facial recognition, it's important to acknowledge how the technology is used for bad and being like, we use it for good, and like, here's the proof. And that is by open sourcing it and showing that I wasn't collecting any of your facial data. It was all staying client side. Oh my god, there's Jamie, my co-host of Robot Karaoke. And then I did a demo, and it was really fun, and then Mark came up and played it, and whatever. That's fun. I forgot that I did slides for that. Joe Crawford said computers are haunted is a great framework for what can be minimized as quirks. I like the assignment and responsibility of computers stealing that. Yeah, absolutely. One of the things, I used to teach middle school girls at this like annual workshop series in Montclair, New Jersey called March Mathness. I used to teach a workshop on how to build computers, because that was what I did, and that's like how I made money like in college beyond my like 2 actual jobs. Was I would build computers for friends. And so I was teaching a workshop on how to build computers to these middle school girls, and we didn't have the budget to actually have them build computers. So in fact, I would buy those like oven roasting pans and paint the bottom like green, and that was like the motherboard. And we would draw like wires, and we would install a CD or DVD drive, because this is like the like late aughts, which were just like jewel cases that I brought. And but first, before we like built those machines, and the most important step, by the way, was we would name our machines. And one girl called her computer Gordon Ramsay, and I thought that was so fucking funny. I think about it all the time. Anyway, one of part of the demonstration before we like built our machines was I brought in a computer of my own. It's an old, large Dell tower, but all the insides are my own. Her name is Delano Rigby. I still have it. It doesn't work, but I would open it up and have them one by one take a part out, and we would go around and we would talk about what that part is. And they're always so like, every workshop start, I'd be like, okay, you know, I would take something out and then be like, you take something out. And they're always so shy too. They're afraid they're gonna like break something. And I had to like reiterate, like, hey, in this class, at this table, you can do no wrong. As long as you are kind to each other and me, nothing can be done wrong here. You can't break a thing. Like, go for it. And it's just like broke that barrier of like being afraid of something that was foreign to you. I also told them, don't do this to your computer at home. Again, the confines are at this table. And so I learned through that experience when I started teaching coding that you really do have to set like the disclaimer, set the boundaries essentially of like, how can you break things and what are like the consequences? But most importantly, how, like, what can you do like in a good way? Which then kind of built onto me then going into community management and building and enforcing community guidelines. It's not so much how to not break a thing, but like what you can do and how you won't break a thing. That's important. But yeah. Winamp. Oh, this is an import of a Winamp app. Here we are in August 2019. It might not actually load, or maybe it will. This is an actual like project that you can import from GitHub. And I was just importing it to see if I can get it to work in Glitch. I love a coverage unknown. Whoops. iTunes art is a starter. And yeah, I'm going to... It's private because I didn't want people to remix it thinking it's working. I'm going to put that in remixes because I didn't make it. I imported it. Get artwork for an app in the App Store. Remember iTunes? I'm glad we've moved forward from that. Okay. Starter Sapper, that's a starter app. Hello Next.js. That's just an old starter. Old Next.js. Oh, this is an app that someone else had made of, Adrian Porter Felt made so you can, instead of saying like, hi guys, different polls you like, hi snake people, hi foolish mortals, hi esteemed colleagues in gym. And I remixed it for International Women's Day, because normally when like it's International Women's Day, there's like, what about International Guys Day, and it's like, that is a day, it's just another day. And so I just made this app that populates it from list. And then a couple of people from the community had suggested, I like unindicted co-conspirators. That's cute. I'm gonna download that. Generative Unicode art. Oh, my friend Monica made this for me. By Monica for Jen. Monica Dinculescu is a legend. I'm gonna put that in archive. Actually, remixes. Difficult slides. What? Oh, this is for this one, what was I doing here? I'm not sure what I was trying to do here. Maybe it's just a joke, because simple slides, difficult slides. I don't know. Also, I haven't been... Let me archive some of these things that I don't want. Because I've already did the mass download. Piece of garbage. This was for Internet Explorers. Let me download this. So, Bill Wirtz was a guest at Internet Explorers, and there was like a hackathon, and I didn't win, but I wrote a thing to go with like my piece, and he said that I was a really good writer, and I appreciated that. Bill Wirtz is an artist who I don't know if I'll get copyright struck in a bad way. I'm not monetized, so it shouldn't matter. But so stuff like that. So I made an app that when you let it take your photo, it puts you in the garbage. So it's for the inaugural and only ever Bill Wirtz hackathon. That's fun. Karaoke. Karaoke was, I started making a .car file parser. I didn't finish it though. This is actually a thing that happens to me like every year. Every year I'm like, I'm gonna make a .car file parser. Cause I had made for No Bots forever ago, a karaoke app that's multi user WebSockets. I'd shown that in a previous stream. And I wanted to make a nicer version of it. But I never finish it, and I create a new one all the time. I'm gonna put that in archive. It's not done. Probably won't ever be, but it's just every year I'm like, now's the time I get back to making a karaoke app, and then, but it's okay. I host a bi-monthly karaoke show, so I contribute to the community. Hello, Stacy. That is Stacy app was a PHP CMS that I loved to use. I don't know if y'all know, but before I got into JavaScript development, I was a PHP developer. I got into JavaScript because through PHP, I started getting into WordPress stuff. WordPress used PHP for its like engine and also as like a templating language, which I thought was particularly interesting, and then found that like maybe JavaScript is better for that, and that's how I ended up here with you today. God, the Advil finally kicked in. And Puma is awake. You want me to get Puma for yous? While I open up more of these. Hey, Puma! Oh, he zoomed off. Puma, Greg! Puma! Here! He's in the hall licking his ass, sorry. Okay. Hello, Stacy. So this probably... Okay. Fun fact, if your project is suspended, the exporter app will break. So you can create a folder of that project name. But if you go to the editor of a suspended project, if you're logged in and it's your project, there will be a download button. Anyway, so Stacy is a PHP-based CMS that I use for all of my sites before I got into JavaScript development. I'll look at that later. Color Pickle is a color picker that I made back when I worked at Boku, and I did a talk about it. And I drew this pickle. It's pissed. All these colors. You can set the color name too. It was a talk about colors. One of my favorite talks ever is by my friend Alex Sexton about the origin of CSS colors. He gave it at CSSConf when I was hosting it. Oh, look at this. At a JavaScript conference last year. I wonder where... Look, there he is. Oh, there's an Ars Technica article. Wonder if there's a link to... So he gives a talk about how weird the color names are. Like, gray is darker than dark gray. And there's numerous grays. And he went deep into the history and like went through listserv messages and talked to people and gave a talk about that history. Okay. Peach puffs and lemon chiffons. Okay, CSS Conf US 2014. I emceed that conference. That was actually my first time emceeing a conference, and I did not do a great job because it was my first time, and there was a lot of technical difficulties that was hard for me to like work around. One of the speakers had asked for someone else to do their intro and not me to do it because they had a serious aspect of their intro and they didn't think that it would be taken seriously if I gave that intro, which is a totally fair thing to ask for. I was not offended at all by any means. I know where they're coming from, but that just kind of spoke to the state of like the web developer industry back then on how serious people were and how unserious people took me because I like to tell a little jokey joke here and there. But I am a very disciplined communicator. I would have done a good job at it, but yeah, it was interesting. And that also, CSSConf US 2014 was happening before and at the same like week as JSConf 2014, which is where I keynoted introducing Jort Sort. So your girl was working that week. I hated that fucking trip. It was like JSConf 2014 and emceeing this event were important milestones in my career. But that whole like trip was also a fucking nightmare. And no, I will not be at JSConf in October, but I hope everyone who goes has a really great time. Anyway, Alex Sexton Peach Puffs and Lemon Chiffons, one of my favorite talks ever given. And I think he gave the talk again at a latter point, maybe in a CSSConf EU. But yeah, that was great. Alex is a funny guy. One of the few developers I allowed to neg me. In a platonic way, not like in a pickup artist way. But he would roast the shit out of me, and that was valid. So, Color Pickle, I am going to save that. in.com. Perspective lyrics. Oh, okay. This was Perspective is an API that I think Google had put out that would tell you, like, give you a number of like how toxic the like words are, and it was not a great not a great API. Like, it worked for like, I picked Britney Spears Toxic, and I was like, sort the lyrics by how toxic they are. So of course the least toxic is I love what you do, and the most would be like, I need a hit, baby, give me it. The problem with the Perspective API is that it would detect, I believe, mentions of trans people would detect it as toxic. Kind of like your standard fare of machine learning detecting underrepresented group dialogue and vocabulary as negative versus positive, which is the issue with using these tools. So one of those things of like, this is fun for stuff like this, but I would never use the Perspective API and like moderating things on Glitch due to the nature of queer vocabulary and iconography being seen by machines as negative because of the fact it's fed data from a society that is in itself anti-queer, white supremacist, misogynist, etc., etc. Similar in vein to the prison stuff, except I use discernment and our government does not, and that's why I do not use these tools and the government is using those tools. Here's another guestbook app. Community Site Test Runner. Oh, these are just for running old tests on Glitch. Old tests. I'm gonna download Perspective lyrics. I forgot. It does need Node, so I'm gonna put that in Node. And I'm going to archive these two. Friendly emoji demo. Oh, it's just a demo of friendly emoji. /me. There's a time where Slack got rid of the /me command that would, if you did /me and then type text, it would like parrot what you said in like italics, which kind of came from like IRC. And they got rid of it, so I made an app that allowed you to add it back, but then I think they then added it back. So yeah. Here's all the friendly emoji. And here's some. I'm gonna download this into Node and /me. I'm gonna download that into Tool to Care. Ah, no. Archive. Okay. Glitch status board. This was an old app that we had internally that you can see who worked at Fog Creek or Glitch then and was remote. It was like a little map and we had showed it on a screen like in our office. But yeah, I don't need to download that. JC Together Action. So Jersey City Together is a nonprofit part of Jersey Together, and did various actions pertaining to different problems and cases in the New Jersey. The stuff that I did work for with them was around renters' rights. There are a lot of renters in Jersey City especially, and while they have rights, our city is not very good at enforcing that. That's why I'm glad Steve Fulop will not be our governor. And so one thing we did was I made an app that connected to a Google Sheet, and they would do door knocking stuff, and they had a spreadsheet of addresses, and they wanted to log whether they knocked on that door and what the outcome of it was. And they were doing it all like on paper. So I made an app for them to, they had iPads. And so I was like, here's a way to do that. Hey, Dan, welcome. So that's what that was. I'm gonna put that in Node. I could probably make a Valtown, like a starter for this that uses Valtown. Jersey City Council. This is out of date. This is literally just like a list, I think, of phone numbers of all the different council people using Sheetsy, which is a spreadsheet library. And I don't... It's saved in a Google spreadsheet. Yeah. That's probably old. Because the Google... This is like 2019. The API has dramatically changed. So I'm a tool to care. Archive. Pixel chat. And then we're done with 2019. Wow. Pixel chat I made before I came to Glitch, to Fog Creek. It's a Node WebSockets app, uses Socket.io. It's inspired by Make 8-Bit Art, as you can tell, it looks similar to it. You logged in with Twitter. I originally had no login, and so I just shared it on Twitter. And basically, if you ever had old Game I think the Nintendo DS and maybe one of the Game Boys had PictoChat, I think it was. What was that app? Yes. Yeah. DS. Okay, so I had a Nintendo DSi. I still have it. And it came with PictoChat, and it was a LAN messenger, so if there are people nearby you, you can chat with them, and you basically had like a canvas and you can draw and send stuff to them. So that's what Pixel Chat was inspired by. It's similar, it's just that in the web, inspired by Make 8-Bit Art. And here's a funny, and you could remix like these images. And so I can say a thing and then someone can do another thing. We did a lot of like fun, like exquisite corpsey kind of stuff with this. So My pal Chris Bannon, a little hot dog, and the muscles. I think he had like remixed this from our friend Mike's drawing. So originally, I'm definitely gonna make this live, but I'm gonna have to make it not have a Twitter login because that's not like a thing anymore. But originally I had no login, and then I shared it on Twitter. This is like maybe 2013 pre-glitch, and a bunch of people had joined and everyone's having fun. And then because this is a canvas, you can open up your dev tools and embed an image, and somebody added tub girl. Don't Google it if you don't want to know what it is. It's disgusting. It's a disgusting image, and so I had to shut down the server and add auth to it. And I've probably told this story before on a prior stream, not the Glitch Gabba streams, but I know who did it. I know, and if you ever say, I know that you're the one who did it, I will never acknowledge that you did it, but there's a reason why I don't follow you on any social media. Even though you engage with my content, I ignore you, because even though it was over 10 years ago, that shit pissed me off. Anyway, I hate that urge to, like, when someone shares a cool thing, to show how you can break it when you're not doing it out of malice. You're like, look, it's funny because I'm able to break it. And it's like that male urge to ruin an experience because you can, and you think you're like just trolling and funny haha. I hate that. It's disgusting. I don't even like it when people do it to vibe coders. Someone will vibe code an app, and even if they're being smarmy about it, they'll then get hacked, and everyone's like, well, that's what you get for vibe coding. It doesn't just happen to vibe coders. And I just like hate that urge to like ruin something somebody made because they had like a blind spot, especially like when it comes to web development. It's so expansive in like security and like blind spots, and to find it and not address it to that person privately, but to instead show it in like a public arena, like how it's fucked up. I don't like that. It's not kind and conducive to learning. This is a view starter. It'll be cool to see what the difference is from these old starters. I think that's just me, so I can archive it. I wanted to do a Vue starter kit like we had done a React starter kit because I liked Vue better. This is an import, of an ASL spelling game. So I'm going to download that in Early Days of Gareth. Cool. I want to start at the beginning here and start archiving the projects that I know I'm not going to be redirecting. And I could always unredirect them. I also can't archive the ones that are owned by other people. I want them to have a chance to export them. I can archive that. I can archive that. I'll keep that there. Archive, 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 archive. Archive. Archive this too. I'm gonna keep that one. Keep that one. Archive this. Keep that one. .new, keep that one. Glitch for remote work, keep that one. That's a tutorial. Keep this one. Actually, no. Archive that one. Live, laugh, eggplant, lasagna. That's not mine to archive. Just typing this. I'm gonna archive that. Archive. I think that's, what was this one again? I think I only have, I'm gonna finish triaging these apps. Oh, this is Neopets. I'm gonna finish triaging these apps when, like, next week, I bet. Thimble import, I'm gonna keep that. Hello Express I'm gonna keep. I'm gonna archive this. Archive that. Archive. Archive. Have I been vaped on? Archive that. I'm gonna keep that. Twitter bots, so glitch. Archive that. Glitch help alerts in Slack. Archive that. Hurricane. Simple size, pixelatize. These I'm gonna keep. Bank robber. JavaScript onesies for babies. I'll keep the starter apps alive. Pencil distance. First meme generator. Gotta keep that. GitHub import. It's not mine to download. I'm not gonna archive that. Archive this. I'm gonna. These aren't being used. That's my macro pad. I'll keep that. I'll keep that to redirect it. Mangrove. I'm gonna archive that. This. Pixel loop. How to say bio. Blah blah blah. Okay, that was an import. Keep that because I've used that in support, so I'll redirect it. Archive that. Fuck it, archiving that. Archiving that. If I accidentally archive something that, like, the glitch team needs, they'll just tell me and we'll unarchive it. Archiving could very easily, if you've accidentally archived a project, you should just go to archived and reactivate it. So let's go back to bump. Lavender fur, I forget what that is, so I'll just keep it. Oh, blog. I gotta keep this one live because I have to redirect it because it's in a blog on dev 2. Bum, bum, bum. Start a React. Archive that. Time to pay the archive protection fee. It would be a shame if your project got archived. Twitter glitch search. Archiving that. Archiving. Archiving. Finally painting with real paint. That's an old one I'm archiving. I'll keep that one. Use source, long hit cursor. You know, the fun stuff. I'll keep these live right now. I'm gonna keep that and I'll redirect it whenever I set it up somewhere. I don't want to delete any of the... I don't want to archive any of the... community code jam sites yet. That's... I gotta finish... The other thing I want to do, besides restarting jams in a new way, is I gotta get this blog roll, community blog roll, running on that glitch, on my glitch profile. Also, hey Stefan. I went through all my apps from 2019, and so I'm just kind of going through and archiving stuff. So I have so many pages to go through every time I accidentally end up in the beginning. Archive. Wibbling. By the way, I didn't mention this yet, but Anil is leaving Fastly. Announcement went out yesterday. I'm excited to see what my friend and mentor does with his much deserved free time. 9 years. Copper screen frameworks. Blah 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 blah. Jort sort. Facebox, Jams Live, Fishbot, NPM. Man, look how nice and clean my dashboard is now. Piece of garbage, color pickle. I am gonna archive that. As well as that and that. Font. Okay. Node 6, what's your lowest node version? Node 3, I think. Oh, did I archive? Where's glitch node versions? Interesting. I thought I have an app that lists all the versions of Node on a glitch container. Actually, it won't have those old ones because remember we had removed, we started removing old versions of Node. But yeah, wait, let me see. These are place of a version branch. Yeah, they were old. But version 0 was last updated in 2017. But yeah. Just said I hope Anil can intervene and help get one of the supposed unreleasable Prince documentaries released. I mean, if anyone could, he or his network can, so. Okay. So now we are back to, we are at 17 pages. We had a lot more pages when I first started this journey a couple of weeks ago. Thank you for joining me on that journey. And 2018 was when we, I don't know, I spent a lot of time at conferences on the road doing workshops. Got some workshops I can see here. We lose the edited dates because I forget why. It was like spring of 2018 where, you know, we didn't even have like, you didn't even have like a dashboard for a long time on Glitch. The problem for Neil is he likes to start companies, and good luck not making an AI company these days. I have told Neil when, and I've told him this, so it's fine if I say it. When Fastly acquired Glitch and Anil is no longer CEO, I saw some of the light come back to his eyes. I am biased because I don't like the idea of a CEO. And it's one of those, like, it's like if you are, there's a spectrum of either a good CEO or a bad CEO. And I don't think Anil is a bad CEO, and to not be like a terrible CEO is such an immense amount of work, and there's not a lot of like, I just like don't understand the incentive. But it's similar, I feel like it's similar to, like, it must be a hormonal thing, like how some people just like don't want to have kids. It's like environmental and also like hormonal. At least as a cis woman, I just never want to have kids. And I'm just like, I never want to be a CEO. When I was filling out my LLC paperwork, it was like, yo, you could say that you're the CEO. No, I'm a founder. I'm a founder of my company. I enjoy coaching and mentoring people. I was a manager going into Fastly, and after a year of that, or 2 years of that, or less than 2 years, I couldn't do it anymore. I did not like you can be, you're only as good a manager as the management org and HR systems are that you're a manager within. I once did a performance review and wanted to promote somebody, and I went to HR and I was like, I want to promote this person. Are they qualified? And it was hard because like we had been acquired, and usually you have to like work at a place for a year before you can go up for that. And they're like, yeah, you're fine. And then I did all the work, I put all forward, and then they rejected it. And they were not straight with me why. They had changed the rating I gave the person so that they wouldn't get the promotion. And it was like, oh, they haven't worked here long enough. I'm like, well, I told you that. Why'd you make me do all this work? Someone lied to me. And and then I was like, you know what? I don't want to be a manager here anymore. So I divested from management. So my last like 3/4 of a year, almost a year at Fastly, I was not, actually my last year at Fastly, I was not a manager. But I continued to do one-on-ones with people and coach them and mentor them. But when it came to the like bureaucratic management work, I was like, I'm not doing it, because I didn't like the policies, and I don't like when people lie when they don't have the answer in order to get me to go away. I think that it must work for a lot of people in corporate, where if someone bullshits you, you know to step away and go away. That activates me further. And I don't like being constantly activated, whether work or not. And so you look for ways to be like, okay, how do I be less activated? Because I can't completely change the system. But I will express them I don't like it by choosing to step away from it. But I do feel like there could be a good way to set managers up for success. It's just, unfortunately, I find that management is really a ladder for a person's promotion versus a ladder for a team's professional development. And I don't think that's unique to Fastly. I feel like that must be the case at a lot of places, from what I've heard from other people that work at other places. When I tell the same story to other managers, I hear far more, yes, I fucking hate that happens to me, than I hear, oh, that's awful, that's not what it's like at my place. So it's just like it's just that kind of like professional development is always a much lower priority in a capitalist system. A higher priority is just how to get the most work out of you, which is why, as Stefania said, good luck not making an AI company these days. But yeah, and it's hard to speak out like against it, because a lot of people that do make it to the top are cowards. It is very this is why I've had such a good relationship with like Anil, and we've gotten along. Although he and I have disagreed a lot of times, we were like able to disagree with each other and respectfully like work stuff out. And we're both, I mean, if you follow Anil online or you follow me, you know that we are like very much, again, I hate to use the word confrontational because it's always used as a pejorative. But we like confront issues at hand because we know that if you don't confront them, the problems get bigger. And that's not something I've learned in the workplace. I learned that from my own like upbringing. And so he and I have that understanding, and other people that have worked with him are similar because I've met them, and it's like, if you see an issue, you have to like acknowledge it and talk about it. You can't dismiss it. And worse off, you can't like lie to like make it go away, because that just breeds toxicity. And if you have a toxic environment, work doesn't get done. Therefore, it's bad for business. And the fact that like that's not seen is like a big problem. And some companies are just so big that they can ignore those things. For example, Microsoft. I know people who they've been doing a lot of layoffs, and there are people who are actively leaving Microsoft because the people who do not get laid off are now stuck in this toxic environment and culture of fear that they can't neutralize. Only leadership can neutralize. And if you do not have effective leadership, nothing gets neutralized and just gets worse and worse and worse. And how can you work in those conditions? And people who leave because they're like, well, I can't do my best work here, I'll go somewhere else. That's like good character. That's integrity. And while I'm not saying Fastly is a toxic place by any means, if you're an engineer and you're looking for a role, Fastly is working on very interesting problems, and they're very smart people that like work there. I was siloed from the best of what Fastly had to offer due to the nature of being community management, being on Glitch. But there was a point where I was like, I can't do my best work here. It's impossible. I tried. I shifted goalposts over and over again. It's time for me to go. And that's what I did. And now all I can do is make candles to support myself and wait out whatever's going on right now. And hopefully we come to a place in this like cycle of work to find something that fulfills me in a way that I can also sustain my existence. So, yeah. Bugs Rock coming soon. Candles coming soon. But yeah, it's tough. And Stefan, I know you've left at least one job before because it no longer aligned with your values. It's a tough thing to do, but it takes a lot of character. And you, like a lot of people in the glitch community, have like integrity and character. And so I appreciate that. And that's what made all this stuff very special to do. I said before, I'm not gonna cry because I'm already inflamed. But I think it's a good point to stop. It's been a couple of hours. I gotta check my messages because I'm supposed to be seeing Potch at some point soon. Yeah, 7. Woo. But yeah, I'm gonna go. I might stream tomorrow, but I'm not sure. I have to go see my endocrinologist and figure out this Hashimoto cyclone. I am all in. So I might stream tomorrow, but there's a chance I won't. Like and subscribe. If I'm not streaming, I'll be posting on YouTube in the community tab that I'm not streaming, but I also post on social. Yes, Marty, major digs today. We're entering 2018. We're almost at the end. But yeah, I'll see you on jenschiffer.com/glitch. So check out my web wing, and we'll continue building ours in the future. Yeah. Bye-bye.